to our side event today. During the last part session, we had a long discussion about the corruption report written by 3 judges, which had deeply worrying conclusions that for years corruption had been widely known, many MPs had been involved, and no one had done anything about it. Since then, the Rules Committee has actually sanctioned a few members, and the Parliament still have to start sanctioning, I shall say. They're not really on their way. I think we're still not there. So this afternoon I will ask the Council of Ministers what they have done. Because from the one hand we had the government of Azerbaijan, who, according to that report, had some actions which were corruptive in nature. On the other hand, we had politicians accepting that. Both sides did wrong things. 2010, asking explicitly for proper whistleblowing rules within the Council of Europe. That means not that you have to take for granted or take at face value everything someone says, not even an ambassador. So it's not that you say, okay, everything he says is true, but you at least have an obligation to investigate. That obligation has not been dealt with. So today I'm very happy that Mr. Məmmədov, who now lives in Brussels, and is no longer working for the Azeri government, can tell us what he knows and what he did around 2011-2012.
Thank you very much for this introduction. I'm sorry. Thank you very much for this introduction. I'm very excited to be again in this building of the Council of Europe, where I was ambassador from the end of 2006 till 2012. And of course, for me, this organization is very important. When we joined in 2001, we were believing that this organization will make difference in our country. As chair of the National Council of Opposition Parties, General Hassan Lee was saying, when Azerbaijan was joining the Council of Europe in 2001, the people of Azerbaijan were hopeful that their country will embrace the European and the Council of Europe values. But 15 years after, we see that what happened is vice versa. In fact, Azerbaijan, the regime, has successfully exported the values of corruption, money laundering and everything to the Council of Europe. And even through the Council of Europe, it extended even further. After reading the report prepared by the independent investigation body, we can see to what extent the corruption penetrated to the to the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe and the Council of Europe in general. It's not just members of the PASE and Council of Europe in general, but Secretariat of the Parliamentary Assembly, Secretariat of the Council of Europe in general. The member states are involved. On 13th of June, I had 7 hours testimony before Italian investigation team that visited, that is working on the Luca Valonti case, that visited me in Brussels. I was called by the Belgium Police Department to have testimony before the investigation. And I was really impressed by the work done by Italian investigation team. And I see that there are more things that will come, will be known in the future. And I suspect that the new Italian government has suspicion that through Luca Valonti, Azerbaijani government was paying bribes to some Italian members of government, also to promote transatlantic pipeline project. Because the questions were specifically whether I know something about this case. Really, I didn't know about that, but I think that there are serious suspicions to believe that this corruption octopus went far beyond the Council of Europe, and Council of Europe was also instrument to influence EU governments, to influence their decision on key issues which affect European economy, European politics, European geostrategic choices. I believe that by bringing the light to the corruption octopus that embraces the Council of Europe, we can save European values that are seriously endangered when the future existence of one strong pan-European democracy institution is in danger, and everyone, including the Secretary General of the organization, should accept his fault and responsibilities for the crisis of the Council of Europe. Instead of accepting the mistakes that brought the Council of Europe to such a shameful situation, leadership of this organization tries to say that what was happening within the walls of the Council of Europe is just passé issue. That this is just a passé, what was happening with passé, but others are not responsible. Nobody wants to acknowledge that this corruption octopus embraced the entire organization. And the evidences that were provided by the members of the Secretariat, by the members of the team to the independent investigation body proves that this corruption octopus penetrated everything, all the cabinets of this once respectful international organization. Nobody accepted responsibility. Nobody said, I'm sorry. Did you hear that anyone whose name is mentioned in this report said, I am sorry? Nobody said that. Nobody. Everyone says that, oh, yes, there was something, we heard something, we did something, but it's not our fault. And this is something that is not acceptable. What happened that dozens of people, members of the passé, accepted the bribes. Some others accepted different kind of cadeau, different kind of presents, and etc., etc. And following this report, what happened? That some delegations withdrew these members from the passé membership, but they continue to be members of their national parliaments. So, what was the punishment? No, they just left delegation, but they continue to be in their national delegations respectful members, like Mr. Danışdı or others. They're still the senators, they're still respected people in their society. There were some articles, but that's it. Two key people, like members of Azerbaijani delegation, Elhan Süleymanov and Muslim Məmmədov, who are proved to distribute bribes, envelopes within this parliamentary assembly. Government of Azerbaijan just replaced them by two other members, and that's it. And they also continue to sit in national parliaments without any punishment. When it comes to my meetings with the Secretary General, I would like to say that I hadn't a couple or 3 or 5 meetings, I had dozens of meetings. The first meeting was in 2010, and the Secretary General invited me as Azerbaijan ambassador to say about, I don't remember a particular case, but I think that there was arrest of journalists in Azerbaijan, and he said that he's worried about that. And I answered him that, Secretary General, the best definition of ambassador is an honest man sent abroad to lie for the best of his country. And I would lie if I would believe that what was happening in my country is for the best of my country. Since I don't believe, I will tell you what I believe. And probably it was shocking for the Secretary General when ambassador says things like this. But we had dozens of meetings afterwards. And on some occasions, I am thankful to the Secretary General when he was intervening and making statements about several human rights violations in Azerbaijan. that passed attention of Secretariat, and I'm thankful for this. I also probably, Mr. Omsik said that there are rules of procedure on whistleblowing when the officials of the council should inform about this. Probably he also wanted to save maybe confidentiality of the meetings, because I was top person from Azerbaijani government, ambassador being here. But in the meantime, what I was feeling that Secretary General really wanted to stay away of this, because what was happening was within the PASER, and even today he says that it is, it's what was happening is PASER. He doesn't want to associate himself with what was happening in PASER, and I believe that this is not a European approach of European politician who should share responsibility for entire institution. PASER sessions are 4 times a year, but Council of Europe works all the year, and responsibility should be shared by all. Probably the only institution that was not affected by all this corruption is the court, but probably the court, and I am very thankful and really happy that the court still remained independent in many respects. I was asked to give also to investigation body more details about what I said, when I said. Unfortunately, I wasn't making the records because I was alone for certain reasons. But all the meetings were attended by at that time head of his secretariat, Bjorn Berger. He was making the records of our meetings, so that probably he can someday in the future bring the light to the record that he was making.
Can you just give a few examples of? I know you don't have an exact memory of all the dozens of meetings you've had, but can you give a few examples of the specific information you provided in those meetings?
At least in some of the meetings, for example, there were a vast of people in Azerbaijan. And I was seeing that there is not any reaction from the Secretary General, while there was a reaction from the State Department, there was a reaction from the European Union, OSCE, and I was saying that, Mr. Secretary General, there was serious human rights violation, but there is no reaction. And then, in several occasions, he was angry to the Baku office for not giving information about that to the Secretariat, and he was making statements on specific human rights violation. On the corruption, because Secretary General acknowledged that I was telling him about the corruption in general in Azerbaijan, but I wasn't telling him about, specific cases within the Council of Europe. But even today, we don't have many specific things. We knew that things are happening. We knew that these two people, particularly Mr. Elkhan Suleymanov and Mr. Məmmədov, were doing this work from the first days. Mr. Məmmədov was not member, he was like interpreter. But of course I didn't know, even today I don't know who received how much, because many things were done in very confidential way. Lots of money were given in cash. At one specific issue, on several speaks, I saw that they planning meetings in the hotels with different deputies, but of course nobody was opening his parcel and distributing money. It was done quite confidential. Even members of Azeri parliamentary delegation, head of delegation, was not aware, because it was responsibility was down to particularly this Elkhan Suleymanov and another person who became now the deputy of Azerbaijani parliament, Muslim Məmmədov. But I was warning that you have to see, you have to investigate. There are strange things happening, that these two guys are moving within the Council of Europe and proposing services, recruiting the deputies, etc., etc. But I cannot now remember what date, what I said exactly. But clearly I was warning Secretary General and Mr. Björnberger about what was happening within the walls of this organization. This is my short answer to your question. Yeah, and what was, when I was asking to do something, you know, about human rights violations, about corruption cases, both Secretary General, and I also would like to say that I had also the same kind of confidential meetings with the Commissioner for Human Rights. That time, Mujdik, yeah, with Mujdik, where with Leila and with Mujdik, we had also meetings. Both of them were saying that we don't have enough power to do something. So we don't have support of member states. They were saying that only few member states would support the press more. Like big member states are not willing to do anything. But I was saying that, yeah, but you are, as very important people, you can push, you can go and meet member states, say that this is, you have to intervene. But they were, I understand that they wanted to preserve their, political stand, and they didn't want to get into all this, but it's the wrong approach. They should have gone to member states and say that this country, behavior of this country is unacceptable, they destroy our values, they destroy our institution. Was it done? I never heard that. Probably they spoke, but nobody knows about that. Whether they raised the issue on the serious level before European governments, before member states, whether they raised this issue before European Union leadership, maybe yes, maybe not, but nobody knows. And they have to answer these questions. Azerbaijan now, we have 160 political prisoners, including Ilgar Məmmədov, who is director of the School of Political Studies of the Council of Europe. What happened? There are court decisions, there are Committee of Ministers decisions, and over the 6 years, this man is in prison without any crime. And the same are 160 people. They are members of the Azerbaijani Popular Front. They are independent journalists. 160 people, completely innocent people, are in prison. And okay, vague statements, and I would say that after this investigation started, there is no any statement. Now we see tortures made against Popular Front activists. Tortures, they use electric devices to torture people. And information comes through the Red Cross organization, which operates in Baku, fixed that these people have been subjected to electric shock tortures. What is happening? For the last 1 year, we don't hear Council of Europe at all. Council of Europe just decided to stay away. Whether this is tactics or what is the plans in the future, I am very pessimistic. We were also very. Finish? Yeah, Azerbaijani public was also very shocked when the Secretary General.
There was intervention or corruption or whatsoever from Azerbaijan. The first is the mission of Christoph Strasser, who was since 40 years a good friend of mine. He was not allowed to come to Azerbaijan. Second question is about Christoph Strasser. The second point was election observation about 3 years ago. ODIHR said that's so bad that we do not come. As far as I know, there was a division with the Council of Europe, and finally the Council of Europe came. But has this been somehow influenced? And the third question is, we have here a new political group called Abuse of Name Free Democrats, and there are 3 members of Azerbaijan. Without this, they would not have had the quorum. Has there been some intervention or help or from Azerbaijan to create this group? Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much. On the Christopher Strassel report, you know, it was successfully blocked in the Passé, thanks to this lobbying, thanks to this dirty money. Christopher Strassel wanted to visit Azerbaijan. He was refused a visa, and the embassy was trying to find the ways. They asked him to write, you know, like almost to promise that he goes to Azerbaijan as a member of German parliament, not as the passé, you know, rapporteur, you know. And despite some pressure, he was never allowed to go to Azerbaijan. This is in itself is unacceptable. We can understand when Azerbaijan didn't give access to deputies, passé members who visited occupied territories, but when it doesn't give visa to member of the parliamentary assembly who wants to go and to see a situation on the ground on the human rights violations, it's unacceptable. And when it comes to the elections, you know that there was division. It's put as the key. And normally they all align with Odile report. But it was probably the first time that parliamentary assembly delegation split and gave completely different opinion, which is favorable. So that they put Odile in that situation, so that there are like a division between European Union, within democracy. Can you imagine? It's also damage to Odile. It's damage also to European values. Thank you. Third question was the political Free Democrats. Yeah, you know, I think that there are. You mentioned one group, but I'm sure that there are still many groups within the parliament which is still operating in favor of Azerbaijan. They are just silenced for a while, but they will appear in the future if there is no serious measures taken.
Well, interesting to hear. I'm sorry I was a little bit late, but with your experience, could you create some kind of guidance how to find this kind of system and activity working? The career diplomacy have been ongoing for quite some time, and I guess you have some whole experience of your own on that as well. Have you written it down somewhere? Because there was a lot of information here that could be needed to look deeper into.
Yeah, thank you very much for this information. In fact, I gave almost more than 2 hours testimony before the investigation body about what I know, about all the details. I also mentioned that not only there were like funds allocated to diplomatic missions for lobbying. You know, it can be anything. It can be presents, it can be caviar, it can be carpets, and it is done in key embassies like in OSCE, in Washington, Moscow, Council of Europe, European Union. So that in some why those who gave the testimony, they were saying that it was difficult not to accept, because it was like people believed that to refuse it would be unpolite. You know, like when Azerbaijani delegation comes and says, "Oh, this is a small present," you know, they even say that yes, we were acknowledged. They even acknowledged that they were organizing caviar parties afterwards. When after the meeting Azerbaijan later, they were opening and having like caviar parties. Secretariat acknowledged this. But they say that, oh, we were thinking it would be unpolite not to do that. And probably, yes, but if you go right now, visit many cabinets within this building, you will see, maybe they have taken carpets, but there are carpets in all the offices of within this building. So that caviar small, I even don't mention this because it was like drinking the water, like small presents, like caviars, carpets, souvenirs, silver souvenirs. It was like a must. You know, whenever a delegation was coming, there people were looking what they have in their hands. You know, so this is like drinking water. It wasn't even because they were much more serious things but
Can I get some
the first step, yeah, the first step was seeing who would react which way. And people who were invited to Azerbaijan, they were coming with the families, with the children, coming to stay in 5-star hotels with all the services included.
These 2 hours of interviews, can that one be released?
Yeah, they are in the open.
They are in the open sources.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can have it in the website. You can have it. Yeah.
I must correct. The material by the investigation body can only be accessed by the public prosecutors and the like in the countries. It's not public.
Yeah, general.
So no, but it's
What
to
if
be very
it's
precise.
just like this much?
It is a lot. What can be done is, I believe, you may have a copy of what you did. Did you sign a copy?
No, it was oral. But before Italian investigation team, I signed it. But before investigation, Council of Investigation body, I signed at the beginning that I wouldn't spread information or something like this. But I didn't sign anything because it was oral interview.
I think it would be very helpful, and that is what you're saying, that you would try to compile as much exact information you have about 5-star hotels, about whom was crime, about when you warned the Secretary General, and make it a public statement, because that's what we basically would like.
Transparency would be great.
Because if you would consider that, and that will take you a week or 2 of work, we're asking a bit of work, and that would be extremely helpful for us as parliamentarians. That's what you're suggesting.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a lot of questions, so short questions, short answers. Georgie, sorry for looking at you for that one.
Sense of humor.
So short question. Thank you. In April, in the last part session, we asked the Secretary General about these meetings that you had with him. And unfortunately, there's only this much in the investigation report about this meeting. But nevertheless, the information that is published is very clear. The Secretary General disputed the content of this meeting and suggested that you discussed with him not corruption here, but corruption back at home in your country. This is what he said. As I understood from your very interesting intervention today, you are disputing that interpretation. Is that correct? Yes or no?
Very shortly, it would be stupid just to say about corruption in Azerbaijan, because everyone knows that Azerbaijan is a very corrupt country. Why I should tell to the Secretary General that there is corruption in Azerbaijan? Of course, it was in the context of this corruption spreading within the Council of Europe. That time, when even in 2010, 2011, it was just on the beginning, you know, because the real Elkhan Suleymanov work even more active from 2012, 2013, until probably now. That time, it was just on the cradle, it was starting to spread. And I was saying that there is bad things happening, that there is, but I didn't know myself lots of real things, It was just...
The question was about the main point of your conversation.
Yeah.
So what you essentially are suggesting that the Secretary General lied to the Parliamentary Assembly.
I didn't read exactly what he said, but probably saying that he just heard about that I spoke only about Azerbaijan. Of course, it was Azerbaijani corruption, but coming here to the country.
Thank you. That's a very clear answer. Thank you, because he did indeed say there's a long list. Thank you very much. Sorry, first gentleman there and then.
My name is Mladen Bosic, I'm a member of the Parliamentary Assembly. This is a high-profile corruption, and it is the matter of the prosecution offices of all countries concerned, meaning that members who are involved in that should be prosecuted in their countries and in their judicial system. Do you know, is there any other country except Italy that is making any procedures in that way?
Thank you very much. As well as I know, the Belgium authorities are investigating Alan de Stek's case, because there are very, very serious things coming out. The Alan de Stek set up Academy of Election Observation that gave a positive report, opinion about elections in Azerbaijan. In fact, when Belgian authorities started to investigate, there wasn't an academy, it was just on paper, registered on the wife name of Stek Goris and Alan de Stek. But he's still the senator, he's still a member of the Belgian parliament. In the Belgian police, they asked me to stay in touch, and they might ask me to come again and speak on these issues. So at least Belgium I know. I don't know whether Spanish or Maltese or any other government, but you know that there are many other things, like bank accounts in Malta. You heard about that, Pilatus Bank and other things. It's now much bigger than the Council of Europe.
I just wanted to point out that it's the money flow that is interested in these matters, and the question is which institution can follow that?
I believe that, for example, Council of Europe may ask Olaf organization, which is anti-corruption. I don't know whether they can ask the EU corruption institution or money laundering institution to help, not to be directly, but to see. Normally it's within the EU member states. Olaf operates and investigates corruption within the EU member states. But this concerns all EU states and other countries. It's 47 countries. And of course, I believe that if maybe there could be a resolution calling for EU investigation bodies to help in go further with this investigation, not just stop on this report by investigation body, but also to have access to the police information, to what was gathered by other intelligence, financial institutions, because there are accounts which have been information about the accounts, how money were coming, and there are many, many other. There is organization which was journalist independent organization which was investigating money laundering, landmark scandals on Malta Probably this is
Just to be clear, Olaf cannot investigate because Olaf can only investigate anything which is in the competence of the EU. We're not an EU as the Council of Europe, so Olaf doesn't have competences. And it's my conviction, so I'm talking for myself right now, that the things that are found are so serious that they warrant the public prosecution. So obviously the whole investigation, which was started because of my resolution, was only meant to give enough evidence that people would be able to indict people in their own countries. And if that's not happening, what's up to you is to go to those countries and to file a criminal complaint. Because that's the only way of kick-starting it or making sure that the public prosecutor takes a decision on prosecuting or not. I've got many questions. I've seen many things.
Yes, thank you. My name is Birgit Horarizon. I'm a parliamentarian from Iceland. I haven't read the report, but I'd like to ask if these briberies are mainly associated with softened criticism of the government of Azerbaijan, or was there anything else?
Yeah, there are also claims that some other countries also provided the gifts, but it is not about money transfers or bigger. So there are because following this report of European Stability Initiative, Azerbaijani government said that no, it is not Azerbaijan, but other countries did, like as always the fingers goes to Armenia and Moldova and other countries, and they were like, what was found that some other delegations were just giving like small souvenirs, like they were coming and seeing in the hotels like a bottle of wine or carpet or books or booklets, things like this. So that, but the most serious is about huge amounts of money transfers. The business companies will pay from one account to another account, like for consultancy, for example, like Luka Volonty case.
Yeah,
but it is big answer.
So make sure you get the report. The report is about bribes from Azerbaijan, trying to soften the critique on political prisoners and on human rights violation in general in Azerbaijan. They managed quite well. There is critique on the report from Azerbaijan, but also from others, that it was not just Azerbaijan engaging in it, but it has not been properly investigated by the committee. So I mean, the committee focused not exclusively, but mainly on Azerbaijan. It's worthwhile reading it. Yeah, 99%.
1% was Russia.
Yeah, this 1% is about Russia. Russia is not a country which has got a lot of basic for influencing people.
У меня вопрос к господину сенатору.
He speaks Russian. I will talk. The question is to you, in fact.
Yeah.
Не считаете ли вы, что коррупция давно вышла из зала парламентской ассамблеи Совета Европы и переместилась в секретариат Совета Европы? Не стоит ли начать проверку самого секретариата?
Yeah, the question is that don't you think that the corruption went beyond the PASE and it embraced also the secretariat of the Council of Europe, and investigation should go on with this more with the secretariat of the Council of Europe in general?
Well, it's my duty as a parliamentarian to look at to look what's happened to the parliamentarians.
Это моя обязанность смотреть, что происходит именно в отношении парламентариев.
I definitely have the impression that by far the main problem was with parliamentarians and not with the people working in the Council of Europe.
Да, я считаю, что в принципе в основном все, что происходило, это, конечно же, касается парламентской ассамблеи, но и в меньшей степени, возможно, секретарь. Ну, больше, конечно же, парламентской ассамблеи.
Had there been big problems, then the investigation would have listed them as well.
Если бы было бы по-другому, наверное, в репорте было бы по-другому указано. Поэтому мы доверяем репорту.
Samantha, you're the Italian press agency. Two questions. The first, you said you spoke to Mucnieks, the Commissioner of Human Rights, not Mr. Hammerberg, because he was the Commissioner, if I'm not wrong, while you were Ambassador. My second question, so from what I understood from what you said at the beginning, you're saying that Volonté didn't take the money only to make Azeris happy here. He also probably took the money on behalf of someone else because of the pipeline that is going to end up in Italy? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We had also meetings with Commissioner Hammerberg, but that time during his terms, this corruption wasn't the subject. It was mostly about arrests in Azerbaijan, human rights violations. So this, like corruption scandal became, or corruption issues started to develop when Hammerberg was not anymore commissioner, but he was, Mujlik became commissioner. So I had meetings both with Hammerberg, and I was also, but it was mostly about human rights violations in Azerbaijan. When it comes to Luca Volonté case, I presume, this is my conclusion, because Italian prosecution team asked me if I know anything about money given to Italian authorities for promotion of TAP project. And since recently new Italian government stopped TAP project, I made conclusion that probably they have some leaks, they have some information that TAP project was also, there is some corruption involved for promotion of TAP project. But of course I didn't ask, but the question was specifically, do I know anything about Azerbaijani government bribing Italian officials for promotion of TAP project? And this is my conclusion, of course. In fact, they were asking me the question, not vice versa. And I believe, this was, the Italian team came almost a few days after new Italian government made decision to stop implementation of the TAP project.
Yeah.
The last two questions, and I'll take them at once. From you.
Yeah, Jörg Plakiewicz, the Legal Director in the Council of Europe. I would just like to give one precision, because there seems to be a lot of confusion about the rules and mechanisms that are applicable as regards the Council of Europe Secretariat. In fact, we don't have to rely on Olaf, which I fully agree is more competent to the Council. We have a Directorate of Internal Oversight, which is competent and is even must investigate all these cases. We have a clear rule enacted by the Secretary General, rule number 1327 of 10 January on awareness and prevention of fraud, corruption. Under this rule, every Secretariat member has a duty, and it's a duty to report, and I quote, any reasonable suspicion of misconduct they deem to be fraud or corruption. We report this to the Director of Internal Oversight, who is an independent investigation authority. And if the investigation confirms suspicions, then disciplinary proceedings leading up, possibly up to dismissal, will follow. So there's a clear framework which applies to Secretariat members, and interestingly, under the rule, even the rule applies also to members of the Assembly, but they are encouraged, because the Secretary General cannot instruct parliamentary members, but they are also encouraged to report. So there is, and there will be, what is quite, I must say, just one remark, what is quite disappointing, I must say, the report, very well done in some parts, in many parts, is, at least in my personal view, not very clear. And what is also a bit disappointing is that what you mentioned, the report says clearly confidential information will be given to national judicial authorities, but there's no word to the competent internal authorities in the Council of Europe, namely the Directorate of Internal Oversight. But I hope it will not be an obstacle that this information will also be given to the Directorate of Oversight. So there is a framework in the Council existing. I think it should not be overlooked.
Thank you very much. It's very interesting information. I think the three of us will follow it up with you because we want to be very precise, because this would be an interesting question to put forward to the Secretary General, and even re-prepare the letter with the report next to it. Thanks for that. Tom?
Yes, thank you. My name is Tom van Dijk from the European Conservative Group. Mr. Məmmədov, the Secretary General, or let me start from this, the investigation body said that you were a very credible witness. However, the Secretary General stated that he thought you were using KGB tactics by saying something bad about Azerbaijan, by tricking him into saying something bad about Azerbaijan as well. So my question is very straightforward. Were you a KGB mole in the Secretariat or not? So my second question is, in a statement in January 2013, the Secretary General raised that, and I have it here in front of me, corruption is the biggest single threat to democracy in Europe today. He also made a statement in the Wall Street Journal in December 2012, issuing the same thing and actually hinting on Azerbaijan. Apparently, maybe you yourself or the Azeri government made a very strong statement towards the Secretary General. Do you know which threat was issued to the Secretary General that after that he kept quiet about corruption in Azerbaijan and within the organization? Because apparently there was already hinted that he knew about it. And last question is, you have probably read the report by the independent investigation body.
I was the main witness for it.
When you read the report and afterwards you see, probably you know much more what's in the report. If you compare what you know and what's written in the report, has the issue of corruption in the Parliamentary Assembly been rooted out, or to your experience, are there still quite a few people not mentioned in the report that should have been mentioned there? Thank you.
1 minute.
Yeah, it's difficult to answer in 1 minute. Probably it needs 7 hours, like I did with the Italian investigation team. I was in fact surprised when the Secretary General said that the KGB tactic. I probably he refers to Norwegian media asking the same question to him about KGB tactics. Our relation, it wasn't one meeting or two meetings, and Secretary General was taking actions on very important issues that I raised before him. So that why he would do that? Because he made statements several times when I was telling him that the Secretary General there was human rights violation. Why you did? He said, "Oh, I didn't receive information from the from Baku office." And Baku office was I don't know, punished or something, because I said to Björn Berger, and they were very angry about Council of Europe office in Baku not informing the cabinet about the case, because it was. I said it was State Secretary made this, State Department made the statement, European Union, but there is nothing from the Council of Europe. So we had not only meetings within the Council of Europe, we almost developed friendly relations. We had lunches together, and Secretary General made farewell. We had farewell lunch with him, and he said that I'm the only ambassador with whom he had farewell. But we had confidential, very strong relations. Mr. Berger, who was present at the meetings, he said to investigation body that we developed even family relationship. We were friends, my wife with myself and Björn's family. We thought we were having lunch together. Then, if it would be like this, then I would be very good KGB agent, so that to have such a relationship. Now they can say that I am trying to block TEP project.
Sorry, there was a second question as well. based upon what you know and what you have read in the report, has the corruption been rooted out in the Parliamentary Assembly, or it has, or quite a few people been forgotten to be mentioned in the report?
I believe that this is just the beginning of very early stage of the investigation. I am sure that there should be more work on the secretariat, secretariat level, because they were present, they were going with the delegations. Those who have been aware, only those who have been particularly mentioned by me were questioned, but there are many others who were part of this. Azerbaijani government wouldn't be able to work so effectively if they wouldn't have information about, for example, candidates for election observation mission. So that Secretariat was giving information that, you know, these people have submitted their candidates to be in the rapporteur on Azerbaijan, and so that Secretariat was leaking first information. Then Azeri government was responding and trying to replace one.
You're still here this afternoon?
Yeah.
I want to talk to you. Can I talk to you? And we'll go on with fighting corruption here.